Hello, part-time listeners to the Part-Time Allies on the Part-Time Podcast Show. Today, your hosts, Jordan, Josh.
How's it going, everybody?
AJ.
What's up, guys?
Ryan.
That's me.
We're going to be talking a little bit about ourselves and some game culture news. How are you guys this week?
Doing pretty good, man. I recently just downloaded a game that most people will probably know, Enter the Gungeon. That game is addicting.
I've never played it.
I gotta say, bullet hells aren't really my thing.
I liked Binding of Isaac. This improves on it.
Is it the Binding of Isaac? Like, is it the dungeon crawling parts that you like, or is it the bullet hell parts, or both?
I like the bullet stuff. It's also maddeningly. It's really frustrating. It's a really frustrating game.
Because it's roguelike, right? Like it's slight upgrades, but you have to, like, when you die, you restart the whole thing.
I find they give you very few upgrades compared to Binding of Isaac, though. It makes it so much more skill-based, I would say.
Okay.
As opposed to Binding of Isaac is like, oh, what kind of stuff can I get? What kind of cool power-ups do I get? This is like, no, you actually have to be good.
So have you played like a lot of it, or?
I definitely clocked in a few hours of this.
You know what that kind of sounds like, Ryan? Dark Souls.
Oh, no.
So how far are you in Dark Souls?
Not very far.
Why not?
Because I suck.
Well, me and Ryan, we did play for a little while, and we started up, and I think that is when your laptop broke, and then we were dived right in. We got
Is this the first Dark Souls?
This is the
Yeah,
very
the very
first Dark
first
Souls.
one. Yeah.
I tried to get him in there. We played a little bit of the Dark Souls 2 for a little bit, me and Ryan. And we got pretty far.
Yeah, I actually have more hours in Dark Souls 2 than Dark Souls 1.
And then, a bit later, before I went on the trip, we just decided to okay, let's play Dark Souls. And then we got through it, and we got decently far, and then his laptop broke, and then that kind of ended that.
That was kind of a series of unfortunate events, right? Like your laptop broke, and then your controller broke.
Yeah. The laptop broke, and I had my laptop fine for like a couple of months or something like that. And then the controller broke, and I know lots of PC gamers out there are like, don't use a controller, but I use a controller.
Okay, no.
You have to use a controller.
Yeah, rule number 1 of Dark Souls is you play that game with a controller.
Okay, I just assumed other PC people used keyboard. Okay.
I wonder if
I'm
anyone's
learning
actually played
There probably
an
is.
entire playthrough of Dark Souls with just keyboard and
Oh,
mouse. That would have been a
definitely
nightmare.
has.
That's like
100%.
on nightmare mode.
Somebody's
was one
beaten
on
the
Dark
first Dark
Souls.
Souls using the Guitar Hero controller.
And someone with a dance
that's
pad,
right.
I
Yeah.
believe.
Yep.
Okay.
Someone's beaten it with their feet.
Oh, we should totally do it. I've got a DDR pad in my basement with a PS2 adapter, and I could plug it into my computer.
I do not have the patience to watch that.
We just need to beat the first boss. If we could beat the first boss, that'd be pretty. That'd be good feat.
Right on.
You use your feet to get this feat.
Well, I'm actually curious as to what Jordan has been playing, considering I guess you just got back, sort of. I mean, I got back sooner than you. I went to Europe, by the way. But what have you been playing, Jordan? I want to know.
I've been playing the same thing for the past couple of months. I was gone
I
for
know
a while on my
exactly what
trip.
this is.
Yep.
Yeah, everyone knows because it's a very basic game where you just hit people with swords or axes.
So how does it feel playing a game with about the player base of 300 people?
300. All right. Well, there's way more than 300.
Okay, wait,
people.
no, you got it. Okay,
You're
you gotta
just trying to trigger
roll
me here.
back here.
Yep.
What's that
Triggered.
all about? What's that all about? Okay,
Have you seen those numbers?
no,
Okay, well,
I'm
first
not really.
First of all, what game are we
Okay,
talking
wait,
about?
wait,
First-
wait.
All right. I was trying to tease the audience a little bit by drawing them in, but now since you guys really want to know the name of this game, it's called For Honor.
Yeah, For Honor.
For Honor.
See, I played like a half hour of this game, and it's amazing. I think it's phenomenal.
Can we back up for a sec? What is For Honor?
For Honor is a medieval game. It's kind of like a fighting game, but it's in an open arena area, kind of like Dota 2.
Yeah, in a weird way, it's kind of like a MOBA.
It is, except it's like kind of like a fighting game too, which kind of makes it a really interesting appeal. There's a lot of practice. There's different factions. You've got the Vikings, you've got the samurais, and then you have the knights. It's pretty interesting having these different different characters because each of them has these different move sets, and you're able to master them. And over time, you get better and better at it. Like for one thing that I'm trying to improve on is the breaking the blockable, unblockable attacks, which is a real pain in the butt. You've got this red shield that comes to you, and then there's like a split second where you see this white shield, which gives you time to reflect it. And everyone's able to do it except for me. I don't know if it's because there's some lag or something, but I always avoid cliffs for that reason. But it's an amazing game.
Right, because
I love it.
It's a third-person action game, right? So you see the entire character from kind of an over-the-shoulder perspective almost, right? And then from what I understand, there are 3 stances, and it's almost like rock, paper, scissors. So if you see a high attack coming, you have to block high. If you see like a side attack coming, you have to block from that side,
It's
right?
like chivalry on steroids.
Pretty well, yeah. It's like chivalry, except it's it guides you a little bit more because you could actually see it.
Right.
There's different move sets as well, and there's unblockable. You could parry, you could break a stance, and you really have to be cautious of your environment because everyone will try to throw you off a cliff. Everyone will.
Would you say like the game's hard?
Oh, definitely.
Like
I mean,
skill-based?
It's definitely skill-based.
Going back,
They're going to be implementing. The ranks pretty soon. I believe next season they're going to put ranks in there, so I'm pretty excited for that. Hopefully,
like
the player
ranked
base.
matchmaking?
Yeah, matchmaking. Okay. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, so that dig about the player base, I read an article saying that when it came out, it was huge. So something interesting about games nowadays, especially multiplayer games, when they come out, they'll be huge on Twitch for a while, and that makes their player base insane. Like, For Honor was the top game on Twitch for, I'm going to say a week, maybe a week and a half, right? And in that time, people get hyped about it. They all buy the game. And then the next game comes out, which I think for the Twitch audience was PlayerUnknown Battleground.
I believe so, yeah.
And then the entire audience from the For Honor section, except for the diehards, migrate over to the new game and keep going. It's kind of like a never-ending cycle. But it makes the player base concentrated, but also probably really good on average, I would say. Like, if you're sticking with For Honor at this point, you're probably pretty good at the
you're
game.
just playing with people who know how to play the game, which is great. So you always get matched up with people who already know how to play.
Right.
I think it's people just like moving on to the new thing and whatever's fun. And if everyone's looking at it, it's kind of like, oh, it's the in thing for right now. And then I want to jump on board so that I could be with everyone and enjoy my time. So it's... Yeah, people jump around a lot, and that's definitely the next game.
Well, speaking of the new thing, there's actually a few games coming out this next week that kind of look interesting. I know ARMS is coming out this week for the
boy.
Switch.
Okay, so I've seen a lot of stuff on ARMS. It looks sick.
It looks cool.
Yeah.
Could have done a better name.
I mean, it's simple though, right? Like, it's a game about punching people with big springy arms. I don't know. I kind of like not only do I like the name of the game, I actually like the industrial logo that they used. I think it fits the tone of the game really well.
Yeah. To me it just ARMS. The sequel, Legs.
Okay. But it's simple, right? And if I say to you, "Oh, have you heard of that ARMS game?" Like,
yeah, that's true.
You know what it is, right?
Yeah. One of the other things I did not know was coming out June 20th. Dead by Daylight is getting a PS4 and Xbox One release.
You played a lot of that game, didn't you?
I haven't played Dead by Daylight.
Oh, what was the one you played with the parkour zombieing?
Oh, that was Dying Light.
Oh, Dying Light, yeah.
Dying Light, okay.
I got them all confused.
Yeah, that game is really, really fun. Lots of people did not necessarily enjoy it. It didn't get amazing reviews, but no, it's a fun game. But yeah, Dead by Daylight is the game where I think there's 4 survivors.
Right.
4 survivors just kind of running around trying to power up some generators, and one person is a killer. And there's...
Oh, yes, this game. Okay.
Oh.
Isn't that like the 13th?
Yeah.
What is it?
So that's
Something
actually
the
another
13th.
game that just came out in a very similar genre of Friday the 13th. Except I think the only villain in that game is Jason. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's only Jason.
As far as I know, it's only Jason for that. But then for this game, there's I think there was DLC too. Maybe I could be wrong. But I think there's DLC for new monsters and that kind of
What
thing.
was his name? Michael
Myers?
Michael Myers is a playable villain in Dead by Daylight.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
I think he was DLC. I think he was the first DLC. Could be wrong, but yeah.
Yeah, I heard there was a witch or some
Oh, cool.
ghost person thing.
Huh.
It's really interesting. So when it comes out for PS4, I mean, I'm tempted. I'm very tempted. Looks like a fun game. Had a pretty big player base when it first came out, as far as I know.
So is this like an emerging genre? This like team-based trying to,
It
Yeah.
seems like it, because 7 Days to Die was kind of one of those too, where you're kind of team up survival type thing. So
that's the word, team-up survival.
Do you remember that monster hunting one that came out? It was on Xbox One, I want to say.
I remember that game.
And it was a big monster that would level up. It was like a Leviathan or something.
Evolve?
Oh yeah,
Evolve, yeah.
That's the one.
I think that was on
Evolve.
PS4
There
as
was
well
a
too.
big hubbub about that.
That was another game that just blew up, and then the player base went to crap.
Yeah,
Yes.
2 years ago at PAX, it was really cool. Their
Yes.
booth, because they had the apex predator. They had this huge sculpture of it, and it looked amazing. They had like fog coming out of its mouth,
cool.
and its light lit up.
They did a
It
really
was
good job
awesome.
with
Yeah, for
that.
marketing, it was
The
pretty
marketing was amazing, but I believe the hubbub was the DLC that they're trying to push, but it was like the price of the game.
Oh, yeah.
And so the
I
player
remember
base
that.
got really, really pissed off.
Yeah.
And so I believe like the game was like $50 retail, like $60 retail. And then they're trying to push this one DLC where I believe you got some maps and a new monster and maybe another class, but it was like $60. And people were like, why? Like, why is this so much money?
Yeah.
And then I believe they dropped that, and the player base is okay now. I think they updated it, but I'm not sure about the what it's like now. But apparently it's okay. I don't know.
Huh. Speaking of games, AJ, what have you been playing?
What I've been playing? Well, I mean, I haven't been playing too much lately, but before I left for Europe, I just got a game, and I just impulse bought it. I got Death Road to Canada.
I've heard great things about.
Yeah, you
Death
heard
Road to
Death Road to Canada?
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
It is, it's like a, randomly generated road trip action RPG, and kind of like in vein of, what was it called? Oregon Trail? Sort of. Not really. Not at all, actually. There's a little bit of Oregon Trail, but you manage a group of jerks or whatever, or people, and then you explore the cities. You find weird people, and you face up to it's a bunch of zombies. So basically, you're trying to road trip.
Canada. What about zombie moose? Is there zombie moose?
I believe you're in America. I think there's a zombie. You're in America, and I think they're like invaded by zombies. And then you're like, okay, well, I think Canada's safe. So they do a little road trip to Canada, and so it goes in little sequences. So you can make your own character, and they're all like pixels, little pixel people. Like the whole game's pixel. And it's beautiful, I think, at least.
It's top down, right?
It's sort of isometric.
Okay.
It's a little strange, but basically, you kind of choose your own adventure to get there. So you can make your own characters. I just made myself, and then I also had Ryan. I had Udrida, and I had Josh. But you
who's
pick,
the first one that died?
I think it was me.
It's always.
I would have
always
assumed
that.
me, because usually
right.
that's
No,
the way
you-
it goes in AJ's
You
games.
got to the very end, and we died. We didn't get to Canada, but Ryan got to the end with my sister, I believe. But
Oh, they have to reproduce, hey?
so yeah, so
That's it.
yeah. So what you gotta do is you go through. You have your character, and then all you do is you go on the road, and you have a car, and your car has HP, and your car has fuel. So you have to get fuel. So it's like a resource management as well. And then you get to a point where it tells you if you want to branch off and go to this house, or you want to go to this town, and you either click one of them, and then you go to the battle area or whatever, and then you can walk around with your dude and kill zombies and get resources, and then go back on the road, and then the sequences continue until you get to the end, and you can recruit people or a dog, and learn. And you can apparently teach your dog how to shoot a gun. It's really weird. It's a really strange game, but I love it. And it's it's kind of like a roguelike almost, where you can keep replaying because you don't know when you get to Canada.
Where do you get this game?
Steam.
All right,
It's
Steam.
$15.
Is it just on PC, or can you get it on console?
I believe it's just console. PC. I believe it's just Steam, PC.
If there is a zombie beaver, I am sold.
Well, there you go.
But they're in America. They're getting to Canada.
I
Yeah,
believe
but
they're
you
in
get to
America.
Canada. The humans are fine, but there's zombie beavers everywhere.
Oh, shit.
And it's co-op. So
I don't know. I don't
If-
actually know.
If the beavers bite the trees, does that mean all the trees are zombies too?
Yeah, they all turn to ents. Zombie ents.
Yeah, but it
actually
is
the
That's
cool.
pretty scary. I don't know if I'd want to come to Canada if that's the case.
Hobbit's not actually the prequel
man,
to
it's
Lord of the
safe.
Rings. It's
It's Death
Death
Row
Row
to
to
Canada. The real prequel for Lord of the Rings.
who knew, right?
Who knew? All right.
Speaking of funny or interesting moments with games that we name all of our friends, do you have any other games where you name a bunch of characters in the game as your friends, and do you have any interesting moments where you're like, oh no, why did he do this? Or it's like, oh, this person died and I'm really bummed out and I don't want to play this game. Or do you have any interesting moments on any games like that?
Okay, I've recently played through a game multiple times, actually, called oh my goodness, I just forgot the name of it. Dragon's Dogma.
Oh,
yeah.
Dragon's
Yeah.
Dogma. Yes.
So, any of you guys played
Yeah,
Dragon's
we
Dogma?
have we have a
played
good.
it.
I think me and Jordan we've played it quite a bit.
Oh yeah, we played it.
So,
PS3, I think.
my story about
That's right.
Dragon's Dogma is the way this game works. It's a third-person action game. It has a bunch of weird mechanics. It's Capcom developed, so it's Western high fantasy, but from a Japanese developer. But they tried to give it to a Western audience, and it's just weird. There's
It is
some
weird.
weird stuff going on in that game.
Like no co-op, but kind of co-op with your what are they called, pawns?
With your pawns, yeah. So the way the game works is there's a character creator. You make your character when you start the game, as most games start, right? And then you go on. And then about 20 minutes into the game, you make another character with the exact same character creator. It's a little weird. And that person's your pawn, and your pawn is like a servant from another world kind of thing, right? And they're just a party member. But the way the game works, because you can have a party of 4, is you can recruit other pawns. So there are pawns in the game that are just regular pawns, right? But the pawns that are populated that you can recruit are sometimes from your friends' games if they've made pawns, because the pawns you can recruit are always the main pawns of other players. So we have a mutual friend, Cole, right? And Cole and I were
boy.
kind of playing the game at the same time, so our pawns were always similar level. So I was always hiring his pawn. And I don't know what it was about his pawn, but his pawn would just die all the time. Because so the way death works in this game is if your pawns die, you can go and revive them, right? And so I would be fighting a griffin, for example, on like a cliffside, and the griffin would pick Cole's pawn up and then just throw it off the side of the cliff. Like, what? I guess this pawn's dead now. And so, yeah, it wasn't like they weren't named people. Like I just chose random like high fantasy names for the characters, right? But it was always like, Cole's pawn again. Like, what is this guy doing?
Do you think
cliff.
Cole has the same story as you do?
I wonder, actually. I've always wanted to ask him, but I never remembered to bring it up. But yeah, that's my weird story, I
pretty
guess.
funny.
I really feel like they could have benefited with like actual co-op, because that was the one thing that me and Jordan got that game because we thought it was going to be co-op. And I mean, eventually we were like, okay, it's not co-op, but we're going to get the game anyway because it looks cool.
Yeah.
But I feel like the fantasy for me is like, man, this world that I can dive into with my friend, it'd be great.
Are you
That
ready
would've been
for
perfect.
segue of a lifetime?
Okay, what's the segue here?
So there's a Dragon's Dogma MMO.
Right. I heard about that.
It's Japanese only, and the controls are almost the same. So I played it with a 360 controller. You can still climb on beasts. You can still do everything you're doing, but of course, because it's an MMO, it's co-op, right? Or multiplayer. The problem is they don't have an English release, so there's this whole community devoted to translating it to English.
Right, I heard about that, yeah.
And it's terrible.
Is that really bad?
Half the menus don't work. It's just a mess. But still to this day, the most fun I've ever had playing an MMO.
Wow.
Yeah. The controls were out of this world.
Just like I thought. I was telling Jordan, if this had like a multiplayer aspect where you can, fight with alongside your friend and not your pawn, this game would be incredible.
Yeah.
It even had pawns too if you don't have any friends.
I mean, I heard rumors of Dragon Dogma 2, and then
I don't
then
have
the
any
then the
friends.
MMO got
It's
released,
okay, buddy.
and I think it delayed Dragon's Dogma 2. So I don't know when that's coming out because I
Yeah.
believe they started development of the MMO, and now I guess it's out, but no English release. So I don't know when 2 is out, and I don't know if there's gonna be co-op. So hoping there is,
Maybe.
hoping there is.
Mm-hmm.
What about that one game that I remember seeing it like 4 years ago? It was coming out, one of the first titles for the PS4, and it was supposed to be like Dragon's Dogma, except it's like this battlefield where you go underground.
Below, it's called.
Below? Like, what's happening with that? Like,
What's-
I saw that like,
what's
ages
that?
ago, and it's not even out.
I think it was canceled into oblivion.
Oh, okay.
They
I don't
announced
see that.
it.
That kinda
They
looked
announced it
cool.
years ago and then just kind of stopped talking about it, from what I remember.
Rest in peace.
That would have been
Rest in peace.
interesting. Oh well. What about you, Ryan? Do you have any interesting stories about any characters you made in games? And then
To be honest, I don't actually think I've played any games like that. I used to play kind of the Worm style game where you like, but it wasn't Worms. It was like a Stickman version of it.
oh
It's like knockoff free worms online.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
pretty much. And I would name everybody like people I knew or whatever, but then I was young, so then you get the immature side. So like some of your characters are named Buttface and
Yep.
Fart and stuff like
Yep.
that.
Great.
Okay, here's the question of the decade then. I'm assuming all of you played the original Pokemons.
Oh yeah.
So what
Yep.
did you end up naming Gary when you played Pokemon?
Gary.
Gary. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I was a very creative kid. I just named him Gary as well.
Whenever
Wait, is Gary the rival you first encountered?
That's right.
I don't remember what I named him. I think I named him just something dumb.
Thought it was
You
Nick.
probably named him Buttface, Ryan.
yeah.
Well, I mean,
I don't think so. I believe
History
it was.
tells.
I think it was your friend. I thought you named it Nick.
Oh. So
I might have.
Yeah. See.
Wait, you guys have talked about this before?
Yeah, because when my okay, so yeah, here's the thing. My first time playing the original Pokemon was for the re-release they did on the DS. How long was it? 1 year
Oh,
ago?
year
boy.
ago?
Oh wow, no, I'm talking about like your Game Boy, like
We
Game
know,
Boy
but-
Color.
Yeah,
But-
but Ryan
yeah,
didn't
I-
have
I-
a Game Boy, I don't think.
I was late to Pokemon. I was very late to
Oh,
Pokemon.
Super late.
My very first Pokemon game, AJ actually lent me Pokemon X 3 years ago or something like that. So
Yep.
yeah,
Wait. X was your first Pokemon
Yep.
game?
was
Whoa.
yeah.
That's
Ryan
crazy.
was a late bloomer.
I thanks. I chose Froakie and
That's the right choice.
yeah, and
is the right choice.
named him.
I don't even know who Froakie is. What does he look like?
He turns into Greninja.
Ninja.
Oh, okay, I know him.
Okay.
He's a little blue frog.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I named him Reginald, but then that kept being an ongoing thing. Is every Pokemon I played after that, or even anything where I get a creature at the beginning, their name is always Reginald. Reginald is always like my first child.
Mm.
So when I have a child now, his name's going to be
I'm
Reginald.
holding it to
Reginald. Okay.
Speaking of Pokemon, before we move on, I want to talk about a game I've been playing for the last few weeks.
Okay.
Pokemon.
So I hate mobile games generally.
you. Here we go.
I have no mobile games on my phone ever normally, right? I save space for podcasts because podcasts are huge, and I only have a 16 gigabyte
Heyo.
iPhone. But there's a game that just came out, and it's not Pokemon Go. For anyone who was gonna guess that, no, it's called Magikarp Jump.
Oh my goodness. I just watched a trailer for that.
Is it like Flappy Bird?
No, it's terrible.
What is it? Okay, what you're playing it though.
Oh yeah, I'm playing it.
Okay, what is all what's
so,
what's
okay,
all about?
this is how Magikarp Jump works. You're a young trainer, right? And so classic Pokemon trope is you're the young trainer, you go and meet the professor, he lets you choose a starter, and you go and become the best Pokemon trainer in the world. This game starts similar. You're a young trainer, you go and meet the professor, and he tells you, we only deal in Magikarp around here.
So this is like a weird messed up reality.
Kind of. So instead of joining the Pokemon League, the goal of every young trainer in this area is to make the Magikarp that can jump the highest.
That can jump the.
Yeah.
Not even get a Gyarados. Just
Yeah, it's the Magikarp that can jump the highest.
Oh,
In
what
fact-
do you,
in
what do you
fact-
feed it?
Having your Magikarp evolve is a fail state in the game because it's Magikarp jump, not Gyarados jump. So the way the game works is you fish up your Magikarp, and then your Magikarp can have a particular pattern, which doesn't really come into play until later. Yeah, actually, instead of a Pokedex, you have a Pokedex, but it's only for different patterns of Magikarp. So you can have like a Magikarp with a white stripe or like a Magikarp with a white dot. It's pretty great. So you have this pond. Your Magikarp swims around in the pond, and berries will spawn. So you can click on the berries, and your Magikarp will go eat the berries, and you'll get points that are called jump points, not experience points, but jump points. So when your bar of jump points fills up, you level up. And when you're getting jump points, your goal is to then go into leagues and beat other Magikarps at jumping. And you just keep going. And the most kind of fun part of the game is there's random events. So you can just be doing things, and all of a sudden it'll be like, oh, this shiny thing floated by. Like, what is this? Do you want to touch it? And you'll click yes, and sometimes you'll get diamonds, which are the currency of kind of the pay-to-win side of the game. or it's a hook and your Magikarp just dies.
That's pretty.
Yeah.
Pretty dark.
Or like you'll find a tree with berries on it, and they'll go, "Oh, does your Magikarp want to jump up and get the berries?" Yes. Jumps up, and a Pidgeotto just comes and takes your Magikarp. And it's like, well, you get to go back to the pond and fish a new Magikarp because your Magikarp just died.
And you're still playing this game? Did you quit?
Nope, it's still on my phone.
Wow.
The only mobile game you have.
Yeah, that's actually not true either. I just downloaded another game because I didn't even realize it came out, and I was checking the App Store because I was bored. Monument Valley 2. Have you guys heard of Monument Valley?
Mm-mm.
So it's a little puzzle game where you walk around and it's kind of isometric, so you're walking on this isometric geometry, but all of the geometry is impossible. So you know the Penrose triangle?
Sure.
Yeah.
Wait, yes.
So it's like or you know that scene in Inception where they're asking the architect to make the stairs impossible, so you just keep going around on the stairs?
Yeah.
That's impossible geometry. It's similar to how the Penrose triangle works. So this whole game is a puzzle game where you're walking around but on impossible geometry. And so it makes it really weird to get places, or like you can slide certain parts of the environment and they'll connect to things you think they shouldn't be connecting to. And it's really cool. Yeah.
That's interesting.
You know, you should name your next Magikarp Ryan, because he's really good at jumping. I've
So-
seen him jump before.
So ironically enough, I actually do name my Magikarps not Magikarp, but I name them all like puns, like Magikarl or
Oh, no.
Magic Heaven is my current one.
Well, that's actually. Oh, that reminds me. So, probably my game of the year for 2016 was a little game called Stardew Valley. I put a ton of hours into this game, and in this game you can get animals, and the animals you can name. For some reason, well, my first animal that I named was Reginald, obviously, but the ones after that, I'm a fan of Super Smash Bros, so I started naming them animal versions of Smash characters. But then it just evolved into, okay, each type of animal I need, like, this one is Cowendorf, and this one is Piggendorf, and this one is Chickendorf. It's really sad, but they're all pretty much Ganondorf animals.
Yeah, are you gonna Are you gonna put them in a fenced area and watch them fight? Does that work in Stardew? I've never played Stardew Valley.
Well, unfortunately they don't fight.
Do they procreate?
What a word.
Yeah, but you can have one cow and it has a baby without any other
like-
cows.
So asexual reproduction.
Wow.
So it
What kind of sorcery is
it
this?
reproduces by mitosis.
Video games don't need to show you how that works. The rating on that's like probably what?
Maybe the cow goes out at night and goes to the neighbor and has a good time, you know, kind of like today's youth. Actually, I don't even know if kids if kids today jump out of windows to go see their boyfriends or girlfriends anymore.
No, dude, they're inside playing games.
Yeah,
they don't
man.
talk to girls anymore.
They sit in a weird attic where their friends didn't trust them bringing up the stairs and record podcasts about video games. So, I think moving on, we wanted to talk a little bit about news, right?
Yeah, speaking of mitosis, is that what we're talking about?
Speaking of mitosis.
Speaking of mitosis, the news can get split just as much.
Hey,
Yeah,
that was
hey,
actually, that was
yeah.
pretty sick.
Segway.
Oh boy.
Fake news with real news.
So I guess that means I'll start with the news. Today is Saturday, June the
10th.
Is it the 10th today?
It is.
It's the 10th today.
That's what my
You
laptop
sure?
says.
Okay, 10th. Oh, I thought, yeah, okay.
it's
10th.
definitely
I
the
believe
10th.
you.
I just
believe you.
checked.
It's June the 10th, Saturday, which means that E3 starts today. In fact, E3 starts in 27 minutes.
Holy,
from
why
when
are
we're
we
recording
here?
right now? It's just the EA press conference. Don't worry. Did anybody watch
Okay.
the E3 press conference last year?
No.
Oh,
Yeah, I believe so.
oh boy, do I have a story for you. So, they were showing off Battlefield 1, the new Battlefield game
Yeah.
set in World War
World War One.
One? Yeah, okay, I guess that makes sense. And they had a huge floor set up. I think they had 24 computers set up, and they were inviting celebrities to come play the game. And so they were interviewing the celebrities on the red carpet as they come in, and one of the celebrities they interview is Wiz Khalifa.
Oh boy.
Oh, he games. He games a lot.
I don't know if games would be the
But he's-
verb I'd use.
But he's stoned when he does it.
So that's the thing. He comes in and they say, "Oh, Wiz, like, so glad you're here. Are you here to have a good time?" And he kind of pauses and says, "Oh yeah, I'm here to have a good time." And he walks in.
We all know what that means.
And he says something along the lines of, whatever, something. Snoop Dogg is the next one on the red carpet.
No.
And they go, "Oh, Snoop, so you here to play some Battlefield?" And he goes, "Yeah, some Battlefield, yep." And they go, "Oh yeah, and you got any special tricks to help you win the game today?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, I brought some tricks." Walks off. The next guy to come up is Zac Efron, and I think his date. I don't know who it was, but Zac Efron and some lady.
Probably someone good looking.
Yeah. And they go, "So Zach, you ready to go?" And you can tell already he's baked out of his mind. Are you ready to play some games? And he goes, "Yep, I just got to get my special trick from Snoop."
Oh my goodness!
And I'll be good to go.
There's just a cloud of smoke following all of them as they walk in.
Cut to gameplay later, and you can see Snoop with something hanging out of his mouth burning. Definitely not a cigarette.
See,
and and you can see the screen actually too while he's playing, and the character's just running into a wall.
You can see where his mind's at.
Beautiful.
It was beautiful.
well,
Yep.
it's weird because you know that they're not letting any like regular personnel come in with that.
No.
But Snoop Dogg walking in, it's like, well, I mean, he has to. He's Snoop Dogg. Like, you can't say no.
So at the E3 show floor, there's already kind of preliminary reports that at the EA booth, there's no smoking signs put up everywhere.
Oh, no.
Oh, I guess Snoop's just gonna
So
turn
good.
around.
But yeah, so the EA press conference is at 12 p.m. today on the Saturday.
If you're not already there, I'm sorry, but I don't think you're gonna make it.
I'm not really super excited for what EA has to show usually, to be totally honest.
Meh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not expecting anything big from them.
$10 says they open with Forza like they do every year.
The only game I'm hoping they talk more about and maybe reveal more is the Spider-Man for PS4.
Is that?
Oh yeah,
Oh.
That's
I've heard that
Right.
should be good.
yeah, that's apparently this year. Probably going to be 2018 though, is what I'm thinking. But yeah, I want to see more. I want to see some gameplay footage. I want to see Spider-Man swinging from the friggin' Empire State Building.
Yep.
Man.
I have great childhood memories of Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Was that in like 2002? It was great.
I was still a child in 2002.
Me too.
We all were. Next up would be the Microsoft press conference Sunday at 2 p.m. This one I'm a little bit more excited for because Project Scorpio is probably going to be talked about, which is their new 4K, hopefully VR-ready Xbox.
Wow.
And
I
also
did not know
hopefully
about
not
that.
very expensive because the rumors are it's going to be like $600.
Oh.
Great.
Oh.
American.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's like $800-ish for us. And
Yeah.
that would never sell in Canada.
That's still pretty cheap though. I mean, VR headsets are expensive.
Oh, no, that's without the VR headset.
And that's without the VR. Okay, wow.
That's just the console.
Okay.
You might as
then
well
yeah.
just build a computer at this point.
Right?
You might
And
as well.
the funny thing that Microsoft's doing, too, is most of their first-party games, you can just play on PC anyways, right? Like, I'm pretty sure the new Gears you can play on the computer
Yes, I believe so.
through the Microsoft store.
Oh, yeah.
Weird. After that, we've got Bethesda at 9 p.m.
I'm excited for
Fallout
that
5 gonna be dropped
Nah.
just
Out
of the
need
blue.
Skyrim first.
They might.
Yeah.
I think what they might tease is the next
Or
Elder
Morrowind.
Scrolls.
one. Elder Scrolls. I hope so. Oh my god.
Although, personally, what I hope happens is they do another New Vegas.
Or
Oh,
Like
that
a-
could be
a
interesting.
Fallout 4.5.
what are the chances of
Yeah.
a new IP though?
Little.
Probably low, yeah.
You think so?
Very,
They're
very
rolling
low
off the.
chances.
Okay, yeah, maybe.
Because they just finished up with Dishonored. They've got. You mean a new IP from like Bethesda Game Studios themselves?
Yeah,
So like the Fallout Elder Scrolls team.
yeah.
That could be cool.
Just like a new thing
People
entirely.
would be pissed if there's not a new Elder Scrolls coming
That's
out.
true.
Next,
I mean,
though.
I'm excited for the Elder Scrolls game because I've been an Elder Scrolls fan for a long time.
I think there. I heard rumors that they were gonna come out with a new Elder Scrolls game at some point. Bethesda was kind of talking about it, but not for a while.
Okay.
So, but who knows? When Fallout 4 came out, it was kind of out of the blue, and at that E3, they're like, Fallout 4 in November, and everyone was like, What?
So I was on vacation in Mexico when that was being announced. So that was 2 years ago. And the only place we could get Wi-Fi was in the lobby of the hotel. And I was up at whatever it was, 12 p.m. at the end of the press conference, sitting down there with my laptop watching Fallout 4 be revealed. Maybe that was 3 years ago now, actually.
It's been a while.
Time flies when you're having fun. But yeah, so I was so hyped. I loved Fallout 4, despite all the hate that it got.
Great game.
Oh, it was phenomenal. So one could maybe think that Bethesda's going to drop something similar, like, hey, new big title coming out this November. So, yeah, here's hoping for something like that.
Right on. So Bethesda, that was at 9 p.m. Right after that is Devolver Digital's panel at 10 p.m. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I forgot what Devolver Digital makes.
What is?
I don't know
I
either.
don't even know.
I don't think I've heard of them.
They oh goodness.
Maybe I have. I just don't know.
Yeah, this is bad. I don't know what they
Well,
make.
let's move on.
Yeah, why don't you?
They're obviously not that popular. No, I know they make cool games. And if you looked up, if you Google Devolver Digital, you'll see like, oh yeah, okay, they obviously do some interesting things.
Good on
I
you.
think they publish a lot of smaller games.
Yeah, definitely smaller games. Oh, yeah. Enter the Gungeon.
Enter the hey, there we go.
Hey.
There it
Enter
is,
the
guys.
Gungeon.
We brought it all
Yeah,
back.
we got there.
Full circle,
yeah.
brother.
Lots of small games. Broforce, Hotline Miami,
Oh,
Okay.
Hotline Miami
That's
was
a good one.
awesome.
Shadow Warrior
The second one's
2.
so expensive.
Our
though.
audience is
The
yelling
Talos
at us right
Principle.
now.
You guys are a bunch of idiots who didn't do their research.
But yeah, it looks like smaller titles
Yeah.
for the most part.
Indie dudes.
I'm excited. I liked.
Sure, why
A lot
not?
of those
I'm good
games.
for indie games all
Well,
the time.
I guess the fact that they're getting their own kind of conference section means
This
that
must
Yeah.
be their first one, right? Because I don't remember one last year.
That's true. I think this might be their first one. That's probably
Yeah,
why
that's
I've
cool.
never. Good on them.
Yep.
Good on them.
well, I'm guessing sales from
It's because Konami stopped having a press conference.
Yes.
But
yeah.
I'm guessing from high sales from games like Enter the Gungeon and Hotline Miami and
Yeah.
those ones,
They're doing well.
yeah, gave it a name for itself. So
Next up on the Monday, 1 p.m. This is all PST, by the way. We have Ubisoft. I am
Oh,
on a
boy.
weird fence with Ubisoft right now.
Definitely,
Ubisoft is
definitely.
releasing their new logo. Apparently, it's the
Oh.
same, just black.
You can turn it sideways and it looks like a piece of crap. See
Yes.
that?
As a graphic designer, it's a strange choice, but I get it. I guess that they want to simplify
Yeah.
things.
Yep,
The
whatever.
way where the world is going right now.
Whatever. Yeah, they what's your temperature on Ubisoft? Like, are you guys playing all the Assassin's Creed games?
They
No.
made For Honor.
They
That's
did.
pretty
They did.
solid.
Yep,
They did a
For
good
Honor.
job with that.
As a
See,
biased man.
that's actually the conspiracy, right? Is they release the game so quickly that they have to drop the player base on For Honor right away so they can move on and buy the next game.
Yeah,
That'd be a
the-
terrible business model.
I don't know.
Would
I
it
spent
be?
a long time working
Would
on
it
For
be?
Honor.
well,
I
they're.
guess
I
for
mean,
us consumers.
Ubisoft is making money, so they're doing something right.
They are.
It's
They
just
are.
whether or not the things they're coming out with are Bethesda level good.
What's the last Assassin's Creed you all played?
One.
Wow.
Yeah,
Really?
Yep.
Unity. That was the one in Perry.
Unity? Okay.
I'm gonna be honest. I barely touched Assassin's Creed games. I kind of played 2, which I heard is the best.
2 is good. Brotherhood is also really
I
good.
played
Yeah.
Black Flag a lot. I beat Black Flag.
Black Flag is my personal favorite.
That's my personal favorite. Well, it's the only one I sort of played.
Because you're a pirate.
That's right.
Well, I got Black Flag because I thought, hey, I don't really play Assassin's Creed games. I started playing it and still haven't beat it. I'm not really sure Assassin's Creed is my cup of tea.
Mine.
Be like Uncharted.
And you like what's the game you just beat?
Horizon Zero Dawn?
Zero Dawn. That's very similar to Assassin's Creed.
Quite
Well,
similar.
how long did it take you to beat that?
And Shadow of
It
Mordor.
took me a while, but I was doing side quests out the yin yang with that game. That Horizon Zero Dawn. If you don't have it now, go pick up Horizon Zero Dawn. And that's the other thing too.
Sponsor.
They are not
sponsored.
sponsoring this
Not
podcast.
sponsored. We're not sponsored. But if you'd like to.
Hit us up.
Yeah, you're actually probably better to get it right away here because PlayStation just released a pretty big sale going on for some massive titles. So go to the PlayStation Store. I think it's pretty cheap right now. Pick it up. It's worth it.
Speaking of PlayStation, we've got the Sony press conference at 6 p.m. on Monday.
Ooh.
I don't know how I feel about this one.
Spider-Man.
That's the only thing I'm looking.
Spider-Man? You know what I want?
Think
Bloodborne 2.
definitely heard rumors about that.
So
Rumors are out.
I saw the screenshot going around of the Bloodborne 2 thing, right? And then people were saying it was fake, and so somebody made a Bloodborne kart screen, like a Mario Kart.
Oh no.
Yep. It looked equally as real. So that's how you know people are getting good at Photoshop these days. And then last up, we've got Nintendo Tuesday, 9 a.m. I've heard rumors this is going to be a 30-minute show, just one of their directs, like starts at 9 a.m. It's 30 minutes of trailers. Done.
They're very concise with what they do.
I actually appreciate it.
In and out,
Yeah.
usually.
I have a hard time seeing big titles in there.
So I think I'm the sole Switch owner in the room.
Correct.
I think.
Yes.
Okay. So I bought Switch at launch. I bought Zelda. Zelda was great.
Like you do.
Like you do with new Nintendo consoles. You buy the Zelda game. It was really good. I had a great time with it. I have yet to play anything else on it other than Snipper Clips. We've played a little bit of Snipper Clips. That game's sick.
Let's play it.
But it's more fun with two people, and I'm usually whenever I'm playing the Switch, I'm usually by myself, so it's less fun by yourself. Anyways, I'm hoping for so Monster Hunter Double Cross was just announced for the Switch in Japan. I'm hoping for a North American release. That would be sick. I'd pick that up in a heartbeat. We're probably going to see some Super Mario Odyssey news,
Right.
which is the new Mario game coming out in holiday season.
Super Mario.
Very excited about that game. As I'm one of those weirdos who thinks that Super Mario Sunshine is the best Mario game. So,
It's
yeah.
a good game.
Send me your hate mail, fans.
The best Mario game is still Mario Kart Double Dash for the GameCube.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if I call it a Mario game.
Mario 64.
Ooh,
Wow, that's
That's my
pretty.
favorite.
That's almost too classic.
that's good.
It's true.
That is ascended into the Hall of Fame.
It's rank 0. I was talking about rank 1.
Okay, yeah.
Hey,
So we'll see. I'm hoping for some Switch games. I'm hoping for some third-party support. In fact, in Ubisoft, Bethesda, EA, I'm hoping to see some
right, because
Some
Skyrim's
Switch
going to
titles.
be on the
Skyrim's coming to Switch, which is cool.
So you never know. You
E-
never know.
I think EA owns Rayman, right?
Ubisoft doesn't.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's Ubisoft. Yeah. So Ubisoft and Nintendo have recently announced a partnership for, I don't remember the name, but it's a Mario RPG. So the Mario Luigi RPG stuff are some of my favorites. Like those games are just sick.
Yeah.
They announced an RPG with Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Yoshi, and then 4 Rabid characters dressed up as them.
Oh,
And it's
Oh, wow.
shooter. It's not a shooter. It's like turn-based RPG, but they all have guns. It seems really weird, and I'm kind of excited for it. So
maybe there's a trailer for that coming out for the Nintendo bit.
we'll see. It could be Nintendo. It could be at the Ubisoft conference. I don't know, but it'll be somewhere. I'm hoping. So that brings us to the end of E3 stuff. Was there any other news that you had?
The only other news that I had was yesterday, Friday the 9th, was the release of the gold version of the PS4. Now, I don't know if
like literally gold.
it's gold. Not
Well,
it made out of gold, but it's gold colored. But it's not a PS4 Pro. So,
I don't know what that's all
what?
about.
yeah. So you're you're getting a new PS4, but it's not the Pro, and I haven't actually checked the price on it. So it could be priced at what the PS4 was originally when it came out. So I'm not sure if I would want to pay more just for a bit of an aesthetic upgrade.
Right.
Yeah, you can just buy a spray cam. There you go.
Done. It does actually have the console itself looks a bit cooler. It's got kind of rounded edges to it, and it looks a little bit thinner. I don't know for sure, but yeah, other than that, it's just a gold PS4. So
Cool.
Not really sure if it's worth it. But if you like gold things, go for it.
Right on.
Josh, why don't you tell us a story about Shadow of the Colossus?
Yeah, so something we wanted to try and do with this podcast was talk about the stories behind games and the stories that are behind our interactions with these games, because everyone talks about this game's good, this game's bad, this game gets a 9, this game gets a 7, right? The controls are sticky, the graphics aren't great anymore. But a lot of my interaction with games don't come from a sense of thinking like, oh, this game isn't graphically involved, or this game, whatever. A lot of my interactions with games are emotional and personal, and Shadow of the Colossus is one of those games.
Definitely a really good game.
Yeah, it's
I have to put out there.
we before we started this podcast, we tentatively put together lists, I think, of our top games, or we talked about doing
talked
that.
about it.
Yeah, talked about it.
So I wrote my list up a few weeks ago, and it was I can't remember if it was number 1 or number 2 in my overall, but it was up there.
Mine's up there. That's up there too for me.
It's a sick game of atmosphere. It really gives you a great sense of loneliness. So some backstory. The first time I was actually exposed to Shadow of the Colossus was a demo on I think the PS1.
No way.
Yeah,
Actually?
demo disc on PS1. I want to say it was PS1. It could have been PS2. And you were cordoned off to the area, like the main shrine and the first Colossus. There were a few bridges around there. If you try to get to the bridge, it would just stop you. Excuse me. And yeah, it was really weird. But we were kids when we were playing this, right? So we didn't know how this game worked. So we just ride on this horse in circles, and we played this game for hours because we just loved the atmosphere of it, right? It was a cool looking game, and you would hold your sword up, and the sunlight would reflect off your sword and kind of give you a beacon as to where to go, where the next boss was.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it was a neat guidance mechanic. There was no compass or anything.
Yeah.
And we played this game for hours, this demo for hours, before finding the first boss. And then when we did, of course, it wrecked us a bunch of times. But the way Shadow of the Colossus works, if you haven't played it, is you're hunting. Is it 13 or 16 or
16?
18?
I believe. Who? Ryan's the only person who hasn't played it, I believe.
There's a lot of statues you have to
16,
break.
I believe.
Some numbers in the high teens, and you have to go fight these giant beasts. And the story's quite vague, which I was looking over my top few games in that list. It seems like all the stories are super vague. That's an interesting through line. But yeah, so the story's quite vague. You're killing these Colossus, and you're taking their power, it seems like. You're not quite sure. So this first boss required, stabbing him in the leg, and he falls over, and you climb on his head and stab him in the head, and he dies. But these beasts are huge, and there's a whole climbing mechanic revolved around them. It's quite neat. So in my early teens, my parents got divorced, and that kind of sucks. As an early teen, you don't really know how to deal with that. And we had just bought a PS2, and one of my ways with dealing with what was going on was playing video games. I think that's how a lot of us get into this hobby.
Definitely.
Pretty much.
And yeah, so I didn't own any games. We never owned games, except for I think we had a couple Forza games, a really bad Lord of the Rings game, and a Crash Bandicoot game, I think. But anyway, so I would rent games a lot. And so I rented Shadow of the Colossus probably...
Oh, back when we went to rent games.
Yeah, back when I could go down to Blockbuster and rent games.
Blockbuster is a very old statement.
Yeah, I know, right?
Very.
I would go and rent Shadow of the Colossus for a week and then bring it back, and the next week I would go and rent it again. And eventually I think we just kind of kept it, and they charged our account for the game because I just rented it so much. But yeah, so I played a lot of the Shadow of the Colossus, and it was interesting because, it gives you that feeling of loneliness, and that's kind of where my mental state was at the time. But I don't know if it was going through like another kind of lonely, solitary experience or what, but it was really good for me. It helped me take my mind off of what was going on in my life and give me some time to process some of that stuff. And yeah, it just there's a lot of the game's very foreboding, and it's a lot of very dark, running through canyons, and it just gave me a place to deal with those emotions. So it was a great experience. And funny enough, I actually didn't beat the game. I got stuck on the 6th Colossus, I think, which is this little dog. I don't know if you guys remember the little dog.
Yeah, I remember that.
And you had to climb up on these torches, and the dog would ram the torches, and then, yeah, so I couldn't figure that out. in my in my whatever early teens that was. And then so I remember, years later, things are fine with my family now. Everything gets worked out, and we have a PS3 now. And I remember going to Blockbuster right before they started closing, actually, and they were having a big sale of we're selling all our stuff. I didn't know where my PS2 copy of Shadow of the Colossus was anymore, but I saw the PS3 re-release of it for sale.
Oh, interesting.
I got it too.
In the Blockbuster.
Yeah, with Ico, right?
Yep.
It came with like
Yep. So I picked it up, and in my late teens, I finally beat that game, and it was actually kind of cathartic. It really brought back a lot of feelings of what I went through as a teen, and using it as a I don't know, therapeutic experience, I guess.
Yeah.
Going through it all, and then I finally beat it, and put a little close on that chapter of my life, and it felt good.
Wow.
So
that's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny how you didn't beat it, and then the moment everything's fine, like in your life, I guess, is when you finally beat it, and it's like moving on.
Yep. It was a good.
That's beautiful, man.
It was a good experience.
Yeah, it's really interesting how playing, like, I'm sure if you went back to that game right now, you would kind of have some of the same feelings awaken. So it's really interesting to think that something as simple as a video game can just awaken so many emotions and feelings just like when you were playing them.
Yeah. Well, even that demo that I would play with my friend for hours without doing anything, right? Him and I were we were great friends all through elementary school, all through middle school, all through high school. And then end of school, we had a really bad falling out, and I've seen him like twice since. We've gone on very different paths in our lives. And it's also just there's a specific bridge. You leave the first area, the first shrine, and you turn left, and there's a big cobblestone bridge on your left.
Right.
And I just remember every time I would go to cross it, I always think the game's going to crash, because that's where the demo would crash for us all the time. And I don't know, it brings back some of those memories. So
Yeah.
I for one think that game is a masterpiece.
Yeah, it's real good.
Yeah.
It's really, really good, and whoever doesn't play it, you gotta play it right now.
The third Colossus. Do you remember him? He's the one who's
the sword guy.
the sword guy. He's on the
That's
on the
funny.
giant plateau. Remember the first time I beat the sword guy, it took me 8 hours
Wow.
because I was scared of him, obviously. So I would stay near the edges of the arena. But the way you have to beat him is to get him to hit his sword in the middle of the arena to break his bracer from the shock.
Right.
Like, I didn't figure that out for a long
I
time.
know, me too. And this was kind of like when you couldn't really search everything on the internet as
Yeah,
well.
exactly.
No, exactly.
It came
Game
out at a
facts.
time where, GameFAQs was really the only
GameFAQs.
place where you could find information. But it was a bit harder to find it, and I remember I had a lot of trouble
I
fighting
think-
that guy too.
Or you had to straight up go to a store that sells magazines and buy one of those
Yep.
gamer magazines to get codes or cheats or hints or anything like
I
that.
think it really adds to the mystery of the game. Actually, I think it's like we don't know about it. The internet doesn't really know about it. It's just this vast land. We
I'd
don't
be
know
really
anything about it.
interested in a game that comes out and the developers encourage the fans to not upload hints or strategies or walkthrough videos, so that everyone has to figure out through talking to each other,
That'd be
like
great.
in person, just kind of going out of your way to figure out how to do something like that. I know that will never happen in today's day and age.
Definitely.
But I
not.
mean, you'd be able to do it with your friends, or you could just
Definitely.
tell your friends like, "Hey, let's play this game without looking at any hints online."
Yeah, that's true too.
So I have a game to bring up in terms of that. Metal Gear Solid 5.
Okay.
Oh no.
So Metal Gear Solid 5 is a glorious train wreck of a game. It's also one of my favorite games of all time.
It's fun.
Phantom Pain, right?
Phantom Pain, yeah. But it has no ending. I mean, it has an ending, but it's not the real ending. There was a third act to the game that was just cut.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. I never finished the second part after the end of that game.
Yeah, because it has an end, and then it has the kind of post-credits game, which is still quite long. And then after that ending, there's supposed to be another section where you go, spoilers for Phantom Pain, you chase Child Liquid to an island, and he steals a Metal Gear and something else, and you were supposed to defeat him and whatever. But so that game has this real strange multiplayer mode to it, right? Where you can invade each other's bases, and
Right.
you can decide to create nuclear weapons, right? And then if you have nuclear weapons, it determines who can invade you and who you can invade, I'm pretty sure. And there was a secret achievement in the game that would only be unlocked when everybody dismantled their nuclear weapons.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did they ever get that achievement?
So people got it. I think it was with a glitch in the game where, I don't know, something went wrong with the server. It detected 0 nukes on everyone's game, and it just sent them the achievement. But yeah, that kind of reminded me of, that's one of those things where you'd have to do some insane community involvement of like, okay, everybody at this time on this day, everybody who owns this game, which like good luck, right, needs to dismantle their nukes. And I don't know, I always thought that was really cool.
That is really cool, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that's cool that happened, but it's been tried before, and there's that one guy who just wants to ruin everyone's day.
Or just people who forget, right?
Yeah, that's
like, what if I had a nuke and I just didn't turn my PS4 on anymore after I beat Phantom Pain, right? Like, well, too bad.
See ya.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah.
Should definitely
All right.
move on.
So what do you guys think? Which game has the most interesting gadget or best gadget?
I think before we jump into this, we should talk about... So this is a segment we came up with in a Tim Hortons called Something-ist something.
Something-ist game ever.
Something-ist something... What was it? Something-ist something game ever?
Something-ist something game ever.
Yeah. Something-ist something game ever. We're going to talk about the most insert statement game or thing in a game. And
Right.
our first topic was going to be the best in-game gadget.
Bestest in-game gadget.
Best. Oh, right, because it needs to end in ist. So, bestest in-game gadget. So, AJ,
Whoa, me.
what's your bestest
I'm just a
in-game
little
gadget?
guy.
Yeah. Oh, I think we should just before we say too much about it.
Yep.
Just kind of go around in a circle, and everyone just kind of say what their gadget is,
Sure, why not?
and
Don't pick
then
mine.
And then we could explain it.
yeah, then we'll explain it. And once we kind of say it, maybe before we explain it too, just bring up. I don't know if you guys had some like quick honorable mentions to bring up too.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
So yeah, we can just say those because there's lots of cool in-game gadgets, but we only have 4. So
It comes down to personal preference.
yeah.
Okay, well, let's go around then.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll start since, Josh will be on the spot there.
Hey.
Mine was the Pip-Boy.
Ah,
So
okay.
I think that's pretty vanilla because I think it's like an amazing gadget. And then like I was thinking about Pokedex, the Pokeball, the portal gun, but
They did all start with P.
oh my gosh, they did.
When we first met today, we were having fun with some alliterations, and since we're the part-time allies on the part-time podcast show, we figured we'd try to fit as many P's as we can. So
I
now AJ didn't know this at the
Did
fact,
not think about that
but
actually.
yeah, look,
There you go.
in his subconscious,
But
he was
no,
thinking it.
I did just I stuck with the Pip-Boy because I believe that's like one of the best gadgets. So
Okay. Ryan?
As we're getting to me, I'm still deciding between 2.
Oh, no.
Because I remembered one this morning, and I think that's the one I'm going to go with, is the detective vision in the Arkham games.
I knew it was gonna be a
I knew it was
Batman
gonna be.
game.
I know.
okay.
I knew it was
Knew
gonna
it.
be Batman. I was gonna say something before, but
There's lots of gadgets in those games, but I found that the detective vision was, you didn't really see it too much in games like that before. But anyway, before we go on too much about that, some of my honorable mentions. The one I was struggling to also pick was there's a game called Singularity, and you have this thing called the TMD, which is the time manipulation device,
Oh, yep.
where you can kind of jump between an old broken down kind of levels or back when everything was normal. And it was a very unique game mechanic. The other ones I could just off the top of my head that I had considered were the Q-Claw from 007 Agent Under Fire.
Wow, you're going
Deep cut.
Yeah.
Very deep cut. And the other one, I don't know if you'd call it a gadget, but it was actually Horizon Zero Dawn, Ayla's bow with all the all the different arrows and stuff she can use. Or Ayla, that's Skyrim.
Wasn't it Aloy?
Aloy.
Aloy, okay.
It's close.
Yeah.
Aloy. But yeah, those are mine.
Nice.
Thanks, Ryan. All right, I have to say, for me, it's from an old game back when I was a kid. I thought this was the coolest thing ever. But in Ratchet & Clank
I was
is
going for
very,
something like that
Oh,
too.
very
yeah.
creative
Man.
weapons and
They
gadgets.
do.
And my favorite one out of all of them
Oh, what's the one I think it is?
the Groovatron.
That's I knew it. I knew it.
Best weapon in the game.
You
I was
just
gonna-
make
you said-
everybody dance. Everyone's having a good time.
That was one
you-
of mine.
You said
Oh, yeah.
Ratchet and Clank, and my brain immediately thought of that.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because it's really the only one that's kind of a gadget. All the rest are killing devices.
Yeah.
So
Well, it can kill things, can it? No.
yeah,
no,
Doesn't
no.
it kill
if you
them by dancing?
upgrade it, okay. If you upgrade, no, they don't die from dancing exhaustion. They
Oh.
actually die because they explode into a million different pieces. But the disco ball that gets shot out, level 1, it just makes them dance, and they're having a good time. But once you upgrade it fully, the disco ball explodes at the end of the dance, and then they all die.
So it's a shrapnel kill.
Pretty well.
That's
But they still have it's a good way to die. You're having a good time dancing around, and then all of a sudden you're dead. But at least they died happy, you know.
Any
dancing.
any
I guess
honorable
so.
mentions?
Honorable mentions? No, I just wanted to pick my favorite.
Okay.
Okay, that's fair.
Josh, what do you got?
So honorable mention. So third place for me is the cardboard box from Metal Gear Solid.
Oh, definitely a very
that's a good one. I
advanced
like that one.
gadget.
Specifically
advanced
the
technology.
cardboard box in Metal Gear Solid 5 because it was so advanced that you could put stickers on it.
Right.
Right? You could put stickers of attractive women.
Did you put your waifu on there?
Walk up. Didn't that only work with like certain soldiers?
I don't know.
I can't remember how that worked, but yeah, there was like an anime girl or just a regular portrait of like a swimsuit model. And you would put it on the box, and then you would go and stand the box up while you were in it, and the soldiers would go, "What? Who's that?" And then they'd slowly walk over to you, and they'd be checking you out. What's up with this? And then you CQC them, it was like whack, 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 and then time slows down, and you shoot them in the face with a tranquilizer dart, and then you do it all over again. And you could get sideways ones where you could lay down, and then it's like a picture of a lady laying down, or you could put a picture of a soldier on it, and you could walk up, and the soldiers would come and salute your box. And then
I love
was-
the humor in those games.
oh, it was so good. But the best thing about that cardboard box was it was actually the best movement mechanic in the game. If you were on a hill, you could just jump and slide on the cardboard box down the hill.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yep.
That should be your
I always
number
called
one
the
gadget.
horse.
It should be my number one gadget, but it's not because there are two better ones, and I'll tell you why they're better. Runner-up number 2, and this was going to be my number one gadget because I have a lot of good stuff to say about it, but it's the Poltergeist 3000 from Luigi's Mansion.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a really good
yeah.
one.
So it's the vacuum that he uses to suck up ghosts. And, okay, so just the reason that gadget's cool is because it's a vacuum that sucks up ghosts. But I think the real reason this gadget's special is because this is the first time that Luigi had really been like, okay, obviously he's green and a little bit taller than Mario, and I think he jumps higher, right? Or
I think that
he
was
has
just
like a
a
flutter
higher.
jump.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
But this was the first thing that actually gave him character, I found. Because Luigi's Mansion was the first game where Mario was actually the princess in this game, ironically enough. Like he was the one trapped in the castle that he had to go be saved. And the vacuum was the thing that really like that to me gives Luigi his character. And so I thought it was a very influential gadget in games, I guess.
Luigi's
But-
the better one, by the way. Always.
I think post Poltergeist, Luigi's the better one. I would agree with that.
All right.
But my number one gadget is also from Luigi's Mansion and
Wow, double down.
has a funny story for me in the background. So the GameCube was actually the very first console that I owned, and the very first game that I had on it was Luigi's Mansion.
Oh.
And so Luigi's Mansion, in retrospect, is not a long game. You can beat it in like 6 hours. But when you're a kid, you can't beat it in 6 hours. I played it for a year, probably, just like on and off and not getting very far. My number one gadget is the Ghost Portrificationizer.
What is that?
So the way this game worked is you would capture ghosts, right? And you would stick them into the Ghost Portrificationizer, and specifically the boss ghosts would all go into this machine. And so it was a multi-step process. They would get washed in this washing machine. and then they would get put out and flattened with this like pounding machine, and they would get like zapped and stuff, and then eventually they would be made into living portraits of them, right? And then there was this whole area in the game where you would hang the portraits of the bosses, so you could go around and see like, oh, okay, here's my accomplishments in the game, here's all the portraits, right? But the thing that makes this gadget special is that it can run in reverse. So Mario in the game is captured and stored into a portrait.
Yeah.
Right? And so I was a young, emotional kid. So when I finally beat the game and have the portrait of Mario, the end cutscene is putting him through the ghost portrificationizer, but backwards. So it like zaps him, and then like the flattening thing like kind of unflattens him, and then he goes in the washing machine, and the washing machine starts all slowly and it going in reverse, and the music's like really slow, and it like kind of spins around, and shoots him out of the washing machine, and he's like got the collar of the washing machine door around his neck, and he's kind of dazed out. And then Luigi just kind of stands there, and he's like, it's all quiet, and he's like starts crying and laughing, and kind of like falls to his knees, and that's the end of the game.
What?
And it made me cry.
Oh,
a little bit.
Draw.
So yeah,
Brotherly love.
that's
true.
that ranks as my number one gadget.
Wow, a little
Yeah.
nostalgic
Nice
story.
stories.
Josh gave us a quick little blurb on what his gadget did. AJ, do you want to give us a
Little blurb.
Tell us more about your gadget.
My
What-
Pip-Boy. Well, what? It's a Pip-Boy, man. You can't go. You can't go anywhere without that on the wasteland. You need that thing.
Tell me how does that work? Like, how does it manage to slow down time around you? Does
Beats
it just
me. It's the Pip-Boy,
does
man.
it
That's
pump
all I need
you
to
full
say.
of adrenaline or something?
Here, my gadget's fighting against all your gadgets. My gadgets will let you survive in the wasteland. You need that thing. You got your HP there. It's probably you got your inventory. You got your map on there. You listen to music, your radio.
You know what? What
Actually,
else can listen to music? You could just turn on shoot the Brutatron right in front of you. And
Sure, why not? You going?
You don't have to
doing
worry
this?
about anything. You don't need to worry about being hungry. You don't have to worry about being thirsty. You just dance until you die, and that's a pretty good life.
That's true.
a life well lived. That is actually one thing I forgot about the Pip-Boy, though, is that Galaxy News Radio was
That is
attached to the
exactly
Pip-Boy.
right.
Yep.
Listening to I don't want to set the world.
Do you guys want to know how many times I watched the Fallout 3 trailer that featured that song?
A
lot.
million.
More than 10. Probably more than 50, actually, because,
Fallout 3 or Fallout 4?
Fallout 3.
Oh.
There was a Fallout 3 trailer with that song. It was a scene of a Brotherhood of Steel guy walking, and then, like, it's zooming in from a bus, and you see, like, the radio tubes lighting up and stuff.
Oh, yeah. I've
Yeah.
seen that.
I think Fallout is enough to say how my gadget is one of the best gadgets and one of the most iconic ones.
Is this a gadget battle?
Yeah,
that we're
are we
doing?
I think
voting?
so.
Gadget
I mean, I don't know. We could do. We
Are we
do
saying
that.
what's Part-Time Podcast's number one gadget?
Well, sure. From us, I guess.
Shoot.
I mean,
Well, or we could, if people want to email in, they can send us their votes.
our one viewer from
Yeah.
Vietnam.
So if I vote for my own 4 times,
So I think
Does that mean I
if we
win?
vote, we're not allowed to vote for our own.
Oh, definitely not.
I feel like that's the best way to do this.
Yeah. Well, you guys didn't give me a second here. Let me talk
Tell,
about.
tell me
right,
about
right.
Detective
Oh,
Mode.
wait,
Let me
I
tell
got
you
one
about
last thing.
Detective
I got
Mode.
one last
Okay.
thing.
Tell me about
I
map
got one-
hacks.
Wait, I got one last thing. It's the Pip-Boy. Okay, let's move on. All right,
wait,
Mike,
I didn't catch
drop.
it. Can you repeat it?
it's the Pip-Boy. Fallout.
Okay, got
Fallout.
it.
Okay, go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. So, like I was saying, I don't think I'd ever remembered seeing a mechanic like this in a game until Batman Arkham. And
It's because you didn't play any Assassin's Creed games.
That's true. Yeah.
well, the Assassin's Creed games didn't. It like from what I played, it didn't seem as in depth as like the detective mode.
Oh, not in depth, but they had what's called Eagle Vision, which is basically the same thing.
Well, I mean, detective mode improved on it. Detective mode,
Ayo.
you can see, like it. It was cool seeing like, oh, I've terrified these prisoners now.
Okay,
they're
hold on.
scared of me.
You know what the failure point of Detective Mode was? You could see the heart rate, right? But you could never knock somebody out by heart attack. I wanted to be able to see their heart rate go up so fast that they had heart palpitations and died.
That's
Wow.
kind
Batman
of.
doesn't
that's
kill
a-
anybody, okay?
But
does
fear does.
That's true.
They died of fear from the Batman.
Yeah.
So technically, then, did he kill someone? Because it was the fear he was inspiring.
I just watched Batman v Superman the other night. He kills people.
He kills
Definitely.
people.
Yeah.
It's a different.
But
it's
that's
definitely
Ben
a different
Affleck
Batman.
Oh, you're
It's
right,
not
yeah.
like Batman.
That's
Batman.
But yeah,
True.
detective mode was cool too because I always had the just roughest time finding like trophies or the Riddler trophies and like the Joker teeth and all those things. Just turn on detective mode for the whole game. You can find all that stuff.
That was the other problem with detective mode is they actually improved upon this in later games where if you got hit with detective mode on, you would get the screen would like kind of fuzz out.
Yeah.
But in the first game, it didn't. So you could just leave detective mode on for the entire game.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But it was still a cool mechanic I found.
Oh yeah, it was.
Definitely a good.
But
guess.
is yours the best?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It is.
you have to defend your case. Why is it the best?
Why is it the best?
What, the Pip-Boy or Detective Vision?
The Pip-Boy.
Pip-Boy versus Detective Vision. Let's go.
Well, let's
Wow.
let's break this down for a second. So say you're walking in the wasteland and you don't have a Pip-Boy, but you have detective vision. And you see, oh, I'm about to walk past this building. Turn on detective building.
Detective Vision.
turn on the detective building. No, turn on detective vision. Oh, there's a death claw in there. No thanks. I'm going the other way around. Boom. No death claw encounter.
I think that's just called VATS, right?
That's a pretty good reason. Yeah,
But-
but you have to
but-
be in
but-
their field of view.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
doing
have
the
to be able
trivia.
to see them.
Oh, that's why you just play the sniper character every time.
AJ, you're gonna have to defend your case here. Why? Why is it Pip-Boy better?
It's because it's Fallout.
That's a
Uh,
terrible reason.
You know,
I know,
I'm
it's a bad
sorry. That's
reason.
not gonna. That's
Well,
not
bad
gonna
reason.
fly.
I think it's a good reason, but you know.
I mean, hey,
Fallout
you
games are
voted
good.
me?
Fallout games are
Alright.
good.
I don't know. You need it, man. It's the wasteland. You have detective vision.
You know
Yeah,
what? I don't
dude.
think Detective Vision could play the radio. Like the
That's
Pip-Boy
true. You
can.
don't got no
I'm-
radio.
Detective Vision might not be able to, but Batman's cowl definitely.
definitely that.
Hey,
But-
we're not talking about the cowl gadget here. We're talking about the Vision gadget.
I mean, what do you
Detective
got?
vision.
You got the health stats. You look at
Now,
all your stats.
Are we just gonna count Batman as one big gadget himself?
sure?
Okay,
Is
well then
Batman's
Batman would
brain
win.
the gadget.
Could be.
Yeah.
But that's not what you picked here.
That's
I-
not.
I
You picked his
I picked
eyes
detective mode
Yeah.
in a very specific.
because I didn't want to be unfair because it's too unfair if I just pick Batman because
I
he
know.
wins.
Yeah,
But
he
okay,
would
does
win.
detective vision have statistics of like how you're doing, your vitals?
Yeah.
Does it have a radio?
No, it doesn't.
Not on
it
your
has
own
the
vitals.
vitals of everyone else.
true.
It
That's
has
true.
the vitals of everyone else but
What if
you.
you
Well, what
wanna
if you
know what
looked
you're
in a
doing.
mirror?
Yeah.
That's
Actually-
the real question. No,
I've
no,
never done that.
because I think Detective Vision is actually works on echolocation, right?
Yeah.
Right. Right. That's like a bat would do. Right. Does it have a radio? Don't think so.
Echolocation like a manatee.
map?
I mean.
Does it have a map on there?
Like a manatee,
They do. Oh no,
It kind of has a map.
no, not a manatee.
like a bat.
No, what a not a bat.
I think like a bat.
Beluga whales.
They do echolocation.
They do.
Don't dolphins?
Yep.
I mean, I
maybe.
guess it's not exclusive to dolphins, but
Finding Dory.
oh,
The beluga whale uses echolocation.
Speaking of Finding Dory, does it have a journal?
Wow,
Does it
what
have
a great
journal?
transition, AJ.
How about an inventory list for your weapons and your armor?
Oh,
Where
you know
put
what?
that?
Yeah,
Whatever
how else are you supposed to equip your
Yeah,
stuff?
Apparently,
How
the
could you
Pip-Boy
put on your
stores
pants
all
without
that
the
stuff,
Pip-Boy?
right?
with the D-pad.
how can you put on your pants without a Pip-Boy?
Exactly.
In fact, how do you put on a shirt with a Pip-Boy? That's what I want to know.
It's a big club on your arm.
Yeah.
The game makes it seem way smaller than it actually is.
I bought the collector's edition of Fallout 4. That thing was huge.
Yeah.
I wore it on my arm for a good 3 seconds with my phone in it and was like, nope, this isn't happening.
Yeah.
That's a good call.
Well, I think instead of just arguing for hours whose gadget is best, why don't you guys send us in an email? Let us know what you think. Which is our bestest in-game gadget?
Sure.
The
We
problem
already
is,
know what-
do we know what our email is? Parttimeallies@gmail.com?
Part-time allies male.
Parttimealliesmail@gmail.com.
That's right.
That's us. Parttimealliesmail@gmail.com.
Yeah, not like male gender. The male. Just
Thanks
just
for
make
the
it
distinction,
just
AJ.
making sure.
You
You
know,
never
some
know.
people might be confused. Thanks for
You-
clearing that up.
You know what? They'll thank me.
They will.
Spelling
Thank
mistakes
me.
are common.
Yeah.
They are common. They are common.
Can confirm.
All right, AJ. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your taco for thoughts here?
What? What's that?
I don't know. You tell me. That's why I'm asking you.
Oh my gosh. Well, instead of this segment here, instead of food for thought, I just randomly thought, tacos are good. Let's put tacos right in front of there. Let's get rid of.
I think on average tacos are better than food, right?
Sure,
Just in
that
general?
works.
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
When was the last time you had a
Scientifically
taco?
proven. Scientifically proven.
It's also another alliteration, so.
That is also true.
Yep.
So tacos for thought.
Tacos for thought.
I thought
Yeah.
we could
Tacos for thought.
talk about,
Oh no.
like a wild card. You would say is, talk about our feelings, talk about us, talk about something else. So, in regards to what we've been talking about, I think we should talk about social stigmas within nerd culture. And if you've ever experienced, something of that nature of, being left out from it, being, I don't know, just any stories about social stigma and how that would affect your life, like how it affected your life. Because it definitely has for me. Not until, recently, I think nerd culture has been getting, more socially acceptable.
People are embracing it a lot more than they
Definitely,
used to. Because,
definitely.
a lot more people.
And I'm
game
so
cafes.
thankful. Like the internet, game cafes, like just people in general, like your average, dude will probably know what video games are and some nerd culture. But for me, like for the longest time, and still sometimes, I'm getting better at it, but like talking to someone and they're asking you what you did and you don't want to tell them that you played like you're just playing video games, or like if they ask you what you're talking about and you're like, oh, I was just playing, Dungeons and Dragons or something, and they're like, what's that? And you're like, don't really want to tell them. But right now I'm like, I don't care. I'm a level 6 elf wizard. You know what I mean? I love tabletop games, and I'm glad that right now that it's a lot more socially acceptable. I can just not even care about that. But it's definitely affected my life. In school, talking to girls, they want to, sometimes they want to know what the heck you've been doing, and you kind of tell them other things instead of video games. But I feel like nowadays you can kind of do it still.
Yeah, I remember a time, not like a long time ago, but like even a few years ago, you kind of talk to someone and like, oh, like what'd you do with the rest of your day yesterday? It's like, oh, I was playing this.
And they're like,
And
what?
It was kind of you kind of get like this sense of,
They're judging you.
a
Yeah.
judgment, and like they're immediately thinking, oh, like why'd you waste your time? Why'd you waste your day?
Yeah,
I
but
find it funny that people are fine with you like Netflix
Yeah.
binging, but then
Exactly.
as soon as you start mentioning, it's like, oh yeah, but I played video games for like 6 hours. It's like, oh,
So you
played
wasted your
video
time.
games for 6
Yeah.
hours. What's wrong with you?
You were interactive with your media instead of just consuming it. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. But I feel like it's changing, and you just need to talk to the right people. I feel like a lot of people feel they have to be against, I don't know, somebody. If people like to be in part of these groups, and once you're in a group, you're like, okay, we need to find a group that we need to kind of like hate on.
Oh yeah.
So they're like, who's a good group to hate? Oh, you know what? People who play video games, they don't really speak out about themselves. They don't really defend themselves. That's a good place to pick on. So they pick on people who play video games because they don't tend to stick up for themselves, and it's easy to pick on them. So it's kind of like the strong guy versus the weak guy.
Yeah, I remember when I was in high school. So, ever since I was a child, I was huge into basketball. So all throughout school, I'm on the basketball team, and you kind of get thrown into that world of being a jock. And in that world, you kind of get this assumption on you that, oh, he's not a jock, like he's playing video games or whatever, like he's a nerd or that kind of thing. So you kind of have to put on this persona of, no, I am the jock. Like don't worry guys, I do play basketball and stuff. But there was a point where I just felt really awkward and kind of embarrassed going into like an EB Games, buying a game and just like walking out with like the little baggie, and you got your game in there and everyone sees it, and there was even a couple of times at lunch where I'd go off campus for lunch and just drive down to this one, like my last year of high school when I could drive. I drove to Best Buy. Oh no, it was Future Shop at the time.
Future Shop.
Future Shop back in the day. I drove to Future Shop because Gears of War 3 just came out, and I bought Gears of War 3, and the amount of weird looks I got when I came back and I had this, and I'm putting this game into my locker, and people just like, what are you doing with your time? Like, aren't you like, you're a basketball player? And it's a really weird situation to be in, but luckily times are changing.
Yeah, for sure.
So when we first came up with this topic, social stigmas within nerd culture, my brain kind of went to, how do us as nerds fight each other internally? And so this is something that, upon looking back on my life, I'm probably kind of a internal nerd bully in a bit of a way. Like,
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
So, for example, I remember when I first started hanging out with you guys, and eventually the topic of D&D came up. And
Right.
Good topic. It's a really good
Really
topic.
good topic. Play D&D.
and people were like, "Oh, Josh, you should try D&D. Like, we're gonna play and we're gonna make characters." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure. This, I'll give this a shot." And I tried it once, and I was like, "No, this is so stupid. Like, what is this? I don't know. It did not click with me." And I kind of had a chip on my shoulder to D&D for a long time. I've gotten a little bit better. We've played a couple times now, and while it's still not 100% for me, I can see the merit, and I'm not actively hating on it. Like Magic, for example, the Magic card game. I hated on that for a long time. In my university, Magic is a huge thing. And whenever people would play it, I always go, "Oh," or talk about it. "Oh, it's just a waste of money. Like, what are you doing? Like, how is this any fun? You're just playing cards, right?"
And then you played it.
And then I played it, which is kind of how these stories always go, right? So, like, I was at work, and my coworker says to me, "Hey, do you want to come over to my house and play Magic?" And the funny part about this was my coworker is like 40, and I was like, "I don't really know you that well, and you're inviting me over to your house, and I kind of just started working here. No, I don't want to go to your house and play a card game." Like, I was really weirded out by it. And as I started working with him more, I realized he wasn't a serial killer. And so,
Good. That's always good.
yeah, it's always good when your coworkers aren't serial killers. And so I finally went over and played Magic at his house. And it turns out that's actually one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah.
in a weird turn roundabout kind of way.
So not to try it.
There you go.
You're playing quite a bit.
Yeah, I play at a pretty. So we, in the card game playing community, there's something called your LGS, your local game store, right? And where I recently just moved to, the local LGS is very competitive. But I still wanted to play Magic, so I've gotten really good at the game in the last few months. Or at least I hope I have. I don't know. Like, the people I play with still destroy me, but I can definitely feel like, what's the term you're forging, how does it go? You're forging something in the fire or something?
Sure.
I don't know.
You're forging your cards in the fire.
Forging my
That's
cards
it.
in the fire. That's the saying for sure. And I've been loving it. And yeah, a lot of this is, when you're thinking anime, I think is a huge thing.
Yeah.
Oh boy,
Um,
that's another can of
Like,
worms.
a lot of nerd people, a lot of nerd culture. Like, I follow a lot of people on Twitter. A lot of people on Twitter hate on anime until they watch it. Until
Yeah.
they find that one that clicks with them and they realize, oh, there's something here. There are stories that are told in this medium that can't be told in any other medium, and they're actually usually quite enjoyable.
Yeah. Well, quick story from me. So I going back to kind of the high school thing. Like, yeah, I was a bit of a nerd. Like, I played video games. Like, I was into some of those like nerdy shows and like fantasy and that kind of thing. But even something like in high school, like D&D, I didn't necessarily like hate on it, but I kind of thought like, oh, that's a little too nerdy for me. And then I played it, and it was amazing. then like Magic the Gathering, I was kind of like, that's a little too nerdy for me. Then I played it. I was like, this is a really fun game. But the one that I refused for the longest amount of time was anime.
Oh boy, I remember.
And I expressed my distaste towards anime quite a bit. And my view of it more so was just kind of the fan servicey, like way over the top battles and that kind of idea of anime. And then Josh actually told me to watch this one, and for those who watch anime, would probably have heard of One Punch Man.
One Punch Man.
So I'm a big superhero person. I love comics. I love Marvel. DC's all right, but yeah, Batman's my favorite. But yeah, finally watched this. I was like, okay, superheroes, you sold me. Then I wanted to maybe try another one, and AJ introduced me to Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which is apparently the top-rated anime. One of them. One of them.
It's also the version of Full Metal Alchemist to watch because there's two.
Yeah. So now, like, I have a subscription to Crunchyroll. I would have never thought I would have gotten to this point ever.
Yeah, Crunchyroll, for those who don't know, it's like the Netflix of anime.
Yeah, and yeah, I really enjoy anime. Right now, season 2 of Attack on Titan and My Hero Academia are huge.
You've come so far.
I'm loving them. Just watching them like every Saturday morning, like Saturday morning cartoons again. It's great.
Yep.
You've come from, I put on Death Note episode 1 on Netflix when we first met, and the intro started playing, and you're like, oh, put that stuff off.
Yeah.
What the heck is this? And I was like, oh, okay. And I didn't really know you.
Yeah.
And then, 3-4 years later.
Well, now I've watched a decent amount of animes. I've got a subscription. I'm watching weekly. I've been collecting some mangas. I've gone into the deep end with this.
And you watch JoJo, so now I'm happy.
And I watched JoJo's
Not all
Bizarre
of it. You
Adventure.
still need. You're just at the cusp of where it starts getting into what real JoJo is, and so.
Yeah, for anime fans out there who haven't seen JoJo, even if you're not an anime fan, try JoJo. You might get 3 episodes in and be like, "This sucks," because that's what I thought.
The first season isn't good, and it's old.
Yeah, but you might think that, but just tough it out because it gets interesting. It's bizarre, as the name entails.
Yep. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is indeed bizarre.
So you think you can be? Do you think you're proud of what you like now, and like, do you think there's still that stigma there for you?
I think there's still a bit of that stigma because
I think there always will be.
yeah, I know lots of people still aren't huge on all that stuff. Like, some people might be okay with video games but not anime. There might be some anime fans who are like very down on Magic or D&D or something like that. So it's very hard to tell when you're meeting new nerds and geeks and that kind of thing what they all have in their kind of nerddom, what kind of things they follow.
Well, yeah, you see that in our friend group, right? Like, even just us in this room, I think us 4 are probably the closest in overlapping circles to things that we enjoy.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
But like Nick, for example, a mutual friend of ours, like he's definitely more into comics than at least I am. I think you and Ryan and Nick are kind of similar in
very
comic
similar.
tastes. AJ, do you comic?
I tried.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I remember when you guys were really big into it. I bought a few issues and was like, "Oh yeah, these are kind of," but it's not for me. But that's fine, right? Like, that's
don't knock it till you try
yeah,
it.
that's
right?
the whole thing. Is
It's not for me.
try
I
it
just
out
like,
and
I think the big thing what we're trying to get at here is accepting that people have different nerd interests and being okay with that instead of kind of shaming it. Because, like, we all have that weird nerd interest that someone could look down on, and you don't really want that. So why should you do that to someone else?
Yeah.
So I know, like, especially once I started getting interested in anime, like, I kind of felt bad because I just really talked down about it. So wasn't feeling too great about that. But now most things, I'm pretty accepting of, all things for the most part.
Have
not
you
even
felt that?
just like nerd culture either. I mean, just be accepting for pretty well every kind of group that's out there.
Yep.
Were you always? Did you feel that, Jordan, or just you? I mean, growing up with you, I felt like you didn't really give a crap. Like, you didn't care what people thought.
You know what? I find people very interesting. I like any kind of person. I'm pretty open to all things, mostly. I try a lot of different things, and my interests definitely do change from time to time.
Definitely.
You should try
And-
comics.
Yeah. You know what? I could try comics. Yeah, I've never really read a comic. I probably read one when I was really young. I definitely read the Hardy Boys. Or
Ooh.
Hardy Boys. That was great. But
Yeah.
getting a little off topic. But you know, you only have a specific amount of time for things that you want to do. And since I'm the oldest in this group, you know, things do change. I did play video games a lot more when I was younger, but now that I have a job and now that I've experienced traveling, I really enjoy traveling. So even though I don't play games as much anymore and I've got other interests, I still like going back to it. And one thing that I find very difficult when you're growing up and you're seeing all of these amazing games that get released, you can't play them all. I'd love to
yeah.
play all
Definitely,
these
definitely.
games, and it is so hard to really pick which one you want to play. And there's some games that are kind of like traps. And what I mean by traps are like competitive games, like Dota 2. If you get a game like
boy.
Dota 2, then you just end up playing that one game and you don't really experience any of the other stories. And I'm a person that loves good stories. So I love playing games that have a great story to them. And I feel like I'm kind of in the same trap right now with For Honor. Like I'll just play like an hour or two whenever I get a chance and then get my steal on there. And then I'm done for the day. And then that's it.
You want to know a game, Jordan? Nier Automata.
You know what?
Oh,
I'm going to pick that up when
no.
it goes on
Yep.
sale. Yeah. I'm a big fan of that. I used to play Drakengard for the PS2.
Oh, yep.
I
Yep.
love that game so much.
So once you're done Nier Automata, AJ, do you plan on playing it?
I hope so, but I'm in the same boat today, and it just I'm slowing down with video games, and
Yep.
I have such a huge library
Yep.
that I end up not doing anything. I just start watching YouTube.
Well, if ever we all finish, everyone here who wants to play it, I'm not sure, Ryan, would you ever play Nier?
Maybe.
Let's
Okay.
give it a shot.
Come on,
Everyone will
Ryan.
give it a
Yeah.
You
shot.
like it.
Yeah.
You like it, Ryan.
I think once everyone who's going to play it plays it, I think we should talk about Nier,
Yeah,
because
the summer
Nier
sale's coming.
Nier
I
is
know.
a
Maybe
special
Maybe a
game.
segment.
Near
Whoa.
segment.
It'd be
In the near future.
Taco
about no.
Nier.
Talk about Nier.
Talk about Nier.
Let's
talk about
it.
Nier in the near future.
All right. Okay, we're gonna stop that
Yep.
where it started.
Perfect.
Sounds good.
Right on.
But wait. Speaking of, like, okay, well, I want to get the final word out there of social stigma in nerd culture, and should we?
Our final splash of guacamole on this taco.
That's
for thought.
right.
A
That's
little
right.
bit of cilantro just for Ryan.
Add extra cheese. So my extra side of squawk is just I feel like for me, like, I think I could be proud of what I do and what I've learned is, like, I think I should just totally accept who I am as a nerd and just kind of embrace it, and try not to be afraid of talking about what I love. And the nerdiest thing I've ever said is, like, yeah, I'm a elf, level 6 elf wizard. And I think that's the most nerdiest thing. But, like, I'm friends with a lot of girls, and they're like, "What's that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a level 6 wizard. What of it,
Yeah.
girl?" And they're like, "Okay." And, like, I think it's definitely a lot more socially acceptable.
You know, if you're confident in saying
Definitely.
it as well, they definitely see that too. So if you show that you're ashamed of
Definitely.
liking that, then they see that and they judge you for that. They're not necessarily judging you for the act of being part of Dungeons and Dragons. They're judging you based off of you're ashamed. So then it kind of fools them. It's like, oh, well, if he's ashamed of it, then I guess it's kind of
Definitely.
like a really weird thing to do.
Mhm.
So if you're confident, I think that's another one of the big problems is this social stigma might root from people normally who are introverts who play video games.
Right.
I could be false. I'm not too sure. I haven't done too much research into that fact. But the fact of people thinking that it's something that is like really weird and they're kind of ashamed about, and that just kind of feeds off of itself. They project that onto other people, and when they project that, they see that's like, oh, that's kind of like weird, and then they talk. They're like, this guy talked about it, but it's kind of like in their subconscious where they're thinking that it's this bad thing just based off of the emotions that emitted from your body, not necessarily what you said.
I like it.
Wow, that was deep, man.
Yep, that's
That
good.
was definitely deep. So you think We should just
I-
embrace it.
I think you should
Times are
embrace it,
changing.
but I'm like the worst person
Definitely,
to talk about this because
Taco.
I'd feel like I'm a bit of a
Talk
hypocrite on this matter because I, for one, never talk about video games or anything in front of everyone because I know that I have this thing where I like people to have this perception of me. So if you talk to different people about me, a lot of people would say different things about me. Obviously,
I think so too. Yeah.
in this group of people, you obviously know that, I like video games and I've got other interests as well. But if you talk to, other people, you're like, oh yeah, Jordan, he likes playing squash. He's good at that. Or if I'm traveling, it's like, if you talk to anyone that I met traveling, like, oh yeah, Jordan like travels around like everywhere. And so it's very different. I put on different, I guess, personas of myself once I get to know somebody. So before I'm pretty well, I'm an open person, but I'm closed in regards of what I tell people until I get to know them better. And once I get to know them better, then I change kind of my persona based on what that group
I do that
likes.
too. I think I do that too. I close off that side of me because I like so many things too. I like hiking, snowboarding, longboarding. I
Mhm.
love all those other things. And I mean, we don't necessarily all look like nerds, so I think it's. But like,
I'm not going to ask who necessarily does in this room.
you guys can figure it out yourselves.
I know.
But I feel like now I can sort of embrace it more.
Yeah, I think people who do that are very courageous. People who are able to just say, this is who I am, and just admit that. Because there are
Mhm.
people, who are closed-minded and who do judge you based off of what you do and what their ideals are. And I'm, it's very nice to see that people are really open to it. Like I know there's this one person, I'm not going to name who he is, but there was this one guy at work. He no longer works with his company anymore, but he was with us for about 4 years. And, he loved anime, like a lot. And he would have a bunch of little anime statuettes on his desk.
Did he have pillows?
And, oh yeah, he had pillows too. But
That's like my line.
and he had like little dolls on the back of his truck. But I mean, that's what he likes. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's, if he showed that, that's fine.
Yeah.
People don't like seeing that. Maybe the workplace isn't necessarily the right place for it. But I mean, he was in his own cubicle. People didn't really see it. Only when people, went to talk to him. And, he's still a great guy. He's really smart. I mean, he might be on the spectrum a little bit, but it's still, nice to see that people are courageous enough saying like, yeah, this is who I am.
So the final message here is to accept everyone and love everyone. Right? Is that what?
Pretty sappy, hey, but
Yep.
yeah,
Sure, why
that's pretty
not?
well what it is.
I think that's what it is.
usually how it goes. So we have another segment.
Segue.
It's a little awkward because this segment involves reading you, the listeners' emails. However, this is our first episode, and you don't know about us yet.
PartTimeAlliesMail@gmail.com.
PartTimeAlliesMail@gmail.com.
All one word.
So instead, we thought that we would read some of our own email.
I should have sent something to us. I should have did it.
Just one email.
Wait,
Here-
didn't
here-
I
here's
thought
a
you did,
taco
AJ.
for
Look,
thought.
I've got this one message from you right now.
Oh wow! Wow.
So-
look at this.
I think if we all want to, we can read one. You mind if I start? Because I have a pretty good one.
What is this segment again?
So
Josh?
the segment is called Audience Engagement: emails.
Wow.
Where we read. I was just reading that off the page. Where we read your emails. So we're gonna do that, and I'm gonna start with an email.
Who's it from, Josh? Who's it from?
So it's from Netflix Club, which is already your first hint. Title: Problem with your Netflix membership! ! The next piece of text is Netflix in italics in a font that is not Netflix's font, and the word is in red. I'm going to read this exactly as it's written here in my email, so bear with me. S look like your account has been restricted. Capital D with no punctuation. Due to your recent suspicious activity, security team decided to close your account until you complete verification.
Oh, that's the worst.
We need just more information about you to get back your account and verify that this account belonged to you. All bold, verify now, _
We're gonna need your email, your credit card number, your address, your
first child's name.
Signed by your friends at Netflix. Period.
I mean, you should really get on that. I mean, that viewer is a very passionate
Yeah.
viewer.
Yeah, this
So-
viewer really cares about my Netflix account, apparently. So I should send them all my info.
Well, yeah, I have one.
Who's our next listener? Who's our next listener?
Our next listener is a little-known listener called Apple. And Apple writes, "Thank you for your purchase. Dreams by Van Halen."
Wow.
That's succinct. Is that a poem?
Haiku.
It was it was a haiku.
Oh,
I really like
If that was
listener.
actually a haiku, that would be amazing.
let's clap it out.
Clap.
I'm clapping, but you can't hear it because it's so far away from the mic.
Yeah.
All right, who's our next listener, Jordan?
Well, you know, I'm looking through my emails here, and I'm afraid I'm not very popular here. But the one thing I do get notifications on is all these companies who are saying that I need to pay them, and Kudo saying that I've used up 50% of my data. So, thank you, Kudo. You really have my back.
He's a very avid listener,
Yeah, Kudo's been with us from the start.
Yeah.
and I delete all my emails. So I'm sorry, listeners who, really wanted to email me. I'm not reading your emails.
So
Sorry.
I've got another email from our friends at Netflix. I'm going to read their
Wow.
email
Sponsor.
just so maybe you guys could contact them. It's Netflix update at account-11232.ca.program-tv.net.
Yep.
Thanks, listener. It's a pretty long email. Let's read this.
Oh no.
Let's read this long email.
Please
Okay.
update your payment method. Dear member, sorry for the interruption, but we are having trouble authorizing your credit card. Please click here to visit your account and enter your payment information again to use a different payment method. What? That doesn't make sense. When you have finished, we will try to verify your account again. If it still does not work, you have to contact your credit card company. Very important, asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Please fill your informations correctly to update your account. Your friends at Netflix.
Listeners really
They're
want.
not very friendly if they're trying to take all your money. Huh?
Well-
To be fair, this one looks much more professional than the last
Yeah, our friends from Netflix, great listeners, love them. Salt
Yep.
of the earth.
one. Netflix
Thank you.
Netflix update was a much better Netflix than Netflix Club was, I gotta say.
So here's to you, listeners. Thanks for
Yeah.
thanks for emailing
trying not
us.
to scam
Yep.
us with all
Yeah,
our
we
money.
loved your emails.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
gotta say thanks to Apple for giving us that Van Halen song.
But hey, so how
Haiku.
if you want to send an email, what do you mail us at?
Where could you send this,
I think I
AJ?
forget. AJ, why don't you fill us
I think it might be part-time hours mail@gmail.com.
Wow,
in? Thank you for that.
that was part-time allies mail, spelt MAIL.
Yes.
And allies
Oh, I thought it was
is
M-A-L-E.
plural, so there's
Allies
no
is
Y.
plural, yeah,
It
'cause
is-
there's
is
four of
plural.
us.
Oh, okay, yeah. there it is.
ALLIES.
See?
Let's spell this entire word backwards.
I was
Time.
about to say that.
TIME.
All right.
All right, so I think we're almost about done here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Why don't we have a little closing challenge to see if you guys could do
So-
something pretty easy to do.
So when we close this, we were thinking of this segment here.
We want to challenge you guys to something to complete for the next week.
So we were going to challenge ourselves, and whoever wants to join us on the challenge.
The challenge is to beat Bloodborne 2.
No, that's not the challenge.
Man, it's
Good
pretty
luck.
tough.
Who had the challenge, by the way? What
It's
was the
not on-
challenge?
You know the challenge.
forgot.
I remember
I
the
believe
challenge.
Jordan
I
has
remember the
some.
challenge as well.
The challenge was to drink more water.
Oh, that's
Put,
right.
put down the pop, drink some water.
Was
Yep.
that it?
That was
It was, yeah, it was.
Yep.
Water's way cheaper. Sometimes it's free.
Water's
Unless
cheaper.
you live in Europe.
Unless
then,
you live in
then
Europe.
drink
Yeah.
some wine instead.
experience.
Have some beer.
So,
that sugar content in pop will get to you. Go straight to your hips and thighs.
I thought
Can confirm.
we had another challenge. I thought it was something else.
Well, let's keep it pretty basic.
Keep
for
it
this
Yeah,
one.
we're
See if
keeping- first
people
week
can
Week one
make
is pretty
one.
basic.
okay, so the challenge is, let's reiterate.
Water instead of pop.
There you
And
go.
so I already don't drink pop, so I'm going to do water instead of coffee.
Ooh.
You know what? I drink water, and I'll continue drinking water.
Good job.
So Ryan, you drink a lot of pop, right?
I went the last 2 days without drinking pop
Good for you.
until yesterday.
Okay, so do you think you can
did you
do
have
it?
a mix in your drink?
What?
Oh, never mind.
Do you
I thought
think you can
went
do
out
it? Do you think you can do it?
Maybe.
So wait,
I did.
is
have
it just a
mix in my
week?
drink.
Is it just a week?
I think it's, just a week till next Saturday.
Okay.
All right, Ryan, we're gonna keep an eye on you to make sure.
So
you
we're gonna
I feel.
talk
I feel
water.
like all eyes are on me for this one.
I think so
Hey,
too.
I'll be bringing a coffee into the studio next Saturday, but I will not drink one all week.
So So we'll shame whoever doesn't do it. You have to make sure.
We should
Yeah.
get like a bell or something.
A bell?
Like, from Game of Thrones.
Shame.
And whenever
Oh.
somebody
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
doesn't complete it,
Shame.
we just shame
It's
them.
a whole nother
for the
can of
bell.
worms.
Shame.
But
Shame.
all right, so like we will definitely try not to drink anymore.
Yep.
Any more
No
pop
coffee
or
for
cop-
me.
No,
No pop
coffee,
for you.
no pop. Nothing with like a lot of sugar. Just water. Let's just drink water.
Jordane's gonna keep drinking water.
Yeah, I'm going to keep drinking water. Maybe I'll drink a little less because I go to the bathroom about 10 times a day.
Hey, that'll.
Are we ending right now?
Too much water
ending.
is not great for you.
Yeah.
So we'll read it one more time. If you wanna email us, you can email us at
Yep.
Ryan.
Part-time allies mail at gmail.com.
Thanks so much.
Jordan.
PartTimeAlliesMail@gmail.com.
Yep, that's us. parttimealliesmail@gmail.com.
Thank you.
E3 this weekend.
Thank you. There's
Yeah.
a part-time
Woo,
allies
it's
on
exciting.
the Part-Time
Okay.
Podcast Show.
Yep.
Bye.
And